Let's try it.
Yeah,
All right,
it
man.
looks.
Welcome John Keating to Raw and Cook Vegan.
Hey.
So, dude, tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Was your family at all conscious of nutrition, fitness, or was it
Uh, yeah, maybe fitness, but not so much nutrition.
okay?
Lots
So,
of lots of animal products in our family.
okay. Grass-fed beef, that sort of thing, or
Yeah, yeah. Everything in Australia is grass fed, so everything that we eat, is pretty much the what the paleo crew would call healthy.
right. All right. So did you kind of grow up eating whatever they fed you, and what happened? Did a light bulb go off? About what age did you start thinking of an alternative diet?
It actually wasn't that long ago, so maybe 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Uh, and I just posted a video about why I went vegan, and basically it was because I was paleo for maybe I don't know 3 months or so, and that basically turned me vegan because of the nature of the diet. It was just so you know crap. It just made you feel so weak and just emaciated
Okay.
and just
Yeah.
crap to be around.
That's interesting to hear you say that. Now, some of these paleo folks they talk about it as if it's the ideal diet. So, what were some of the negative symptoms you were getting?
Well, my athletic performance suffered. Now, I didn't go into the paleo diet thinking that I was actually going to gain athletic performance. I actually thought I was going to gain, or not gain, lose weight. I thought I was going to lose weight and maintain a lean physique. But in fact, it did the opposite. I lost a lot of muscle. Um, I lost a lot of weight, but it was unhealthy. It was just, I was getting all skin and bones, but it was because I was calorie restricting so much, and yeah, it wasn't healthy at all.
Okay. And would you say like prior to doing the paleo thing, your health had been relatively good, but you started to
Yeah.
develop some weight issues or
Uh, well, the main issue was that I I was basically an emotional wreck in terms of dealing with people. Like 1 minute I'd be happy, next minute I'd be sad because it just carbohydrates make you feel upbeat and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Whereas a low carbohydrates, uh, turns down your energy. You don't have much energy. And what was sorry? What was the main gist
Well,
of the question?
I guess I thought it was interesting that so there were some I guess what I'm asking is what was it that occurred that made you shift away from the way your parents had raised you and you started changing diet? So it sounds like your first shift was toward the paleo perspective,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so things weren't working in the
Initially,
previous diet.
yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. So before that, I just ate the standard American diet, standard Australian diet.
Yeah,
Uh, particularly lots of milk for me.
yeah,
When I was from 16 till about 20, I'd have like when I got home, I'd have a bowl of ice cream, basically this big,
yeah.
and I'd put coffee in it as well. And this is after I got home from school. I put that in, and I just eat that and mix it round. It's crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And
You mean
then I
coffee
like protein shakes.
like liquid coffee or
No, I just put the granules in the granules.
dude? All right, that's a nice
Really,
little caffeine shot,
yeah, yeah, caffeine and dairy. It's just so bad. All so bad.
All right, in any event, your health reached a point, or your mind reached a point where you're like, okay, I'm gonna do the paleo thing. And did the paleo thing mean uh, kind of high meat, fruits and veggies, not much dairy.
Obviously, yeah. So paleo diet, so no dairy. That was one thing that I was going to cut out anyway. That it also appealed to me, cutting out dairy, because my dad actually had really bad acne, and so did I. It's hereditary in our family, and so we used to get like big cystic acne, and yeah, as soon as I cut out the dairy, the pimples went down. So yeah.
All right. So you cut out the dairy and you got on this paleo trek, and then you start having problems with paleo. So how long did you do the paleo?
Yeah, so 3 months. I did the paleo diet for 3 months, and the turning point for me in the paleo diet was actually fainting and then falling down some stairs.
All right.
I'm being serious. So just out there, that door there, there's some stairs, probably 3 stairs there, and I got up from exactly where I am now, got up, went to the door and fainted, fell down the stairs, and I got a cut here. I don't know what it was, but I knew it was something to do with the diet.
Wow.
The high fat aspect.
Yeah. And would you say, can you describe for us a little bit like an average day on your paleo? Was it like for breakfast, would you have maybe hot cereal, and then lunch, would you have like a meat with sandwich or something, and then meat for dinner with some veggies?
Pretty much. I'd have like chicken breast and veggies, mixed veggies, or I'd have at one point I was doing avocados and like a lot of them, like that many, and then I can't remember exactly what I put in it, but it was a whole lot of avocados. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
And I'd have bacon and eggs for breakfast. and no toast, because that makes you fat, of course.
Right.
And
right.
a big wad of butter.
Dude. Man, it's amazing that people believe this. But anyway.
I believed it.
All right. So after 3 months for you, it became clear this is not working. And it's interesting. It's interesting that how strongly people devote themselves to that approach. But anyway, what happened for you once you made this change? As you decided to give up paleo, what did you decide to take on? Did you go right into vegan, or was it a vegetarian thing, or what'd you do?
I basically, actually, I saw Duran Rider's video.
Yeah.
And it was a response to one of the Hodge twins videos, which is basically the biggest fitness channel on YouTube. And so Duran Rider got a lot of exposure by responding to this video. And he basically talked about how the paleo diet's crap. I mean, you've probably seen some of Duran Rider's videos.
Oh yeah.
It's about low carbers, frauds and all that kind of stuff. They don't follow the science, and carbohydrates are bad for you. And so, Duran Rider told me all about, sleep, water, sugar, and that was the basis of what I went to. And then I took it from there. I initially, because I was doing a lot of, bodybuilding, muscle building, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I had a lot of like whey protein shakes, so I didn't cut out those initially because I thought, you need the whey protein and all that kind of stuff to build muscle, and of course that was wrong as well. But I cut out the whey protein after a while, and probably 3 months down the track after becoming vegetarian, and then full vegan, and then the rest is history, I suppose.
All right. Now, before I totally get away from the paleo, can you describe some of the other negative symptoms? Like I know, I think ketosis can happen pretty easily, and one of the signs of that is like bad breath. Did that happen for you?
I probably had bad breath. No one's really commented about the bad breath. So since becoming vegan, that is. So I suppose it's worked, but no way of verifying that. But I suppose yeah, you do get some bad breath if you're eating lots of meat and stuff.
Well, it's funny, this ketosis, it amazes me that they feel ketosis is like a natural healthy state, because to me there's obvious symptoms that ketosis is not the ideal frame for it's not the ideal physiological state for the body.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not.
And when you pulled away from paleo, did you immediately start to see benefits?
Um, well, previously I had eaten a lot of carbohydrates just naturally
Yeah, yeah.
because you just need energy for daily living. So I already kind of knew that you need carbohydrates for energy,
Okay.
but yeah, it's
You'd been so you were eating carbohydrates, but you were trying to keep them low.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. And
yeah.
then when you eliminated meat, you got to have some calories to replace that. So did you start eating more carbs?
Yeah, I basically followed Darren Ryder's program. Well, not his program, but his philosophy. So it's quite easy. Like,
Yeah.
I initially did the raw thing though, so I kind of failed a bit on the raw thing, and I think a lot of people do. It's not really a real diet. It's kind of like, you transition, you think, oh, you get all excited about this new diet, and you think, oh, I'll go all raw. And I did that for a couple of months, and I was like, this is like, it's a bit hard, especially in Australia where I live.
Okay.
Um,
And on that
it's
point,
kind
John, would you say that it's difficult logistically, maybe, and expense wise, but did you notice health benefits from doing that?
from switching to the raw.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, I actually found I couldn't get enough calories in on the raw diet, to be
Okay.
honest. That's probably why I switched over to the more cooked vegan style, half half kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it just not enough calories for me. I failed miserably doing the raw thing as well. Yeah, just not enough calories. Because as Durham Rider says, a lot of the fruit here is of poor quality. So it's hard to get those calories in, and also the variety of fruit in Australia is terrible as well. So
Yeah, when
you
I
know,
when I see his videos where he shows the prices of fruits for you guys, it's unbelievable, man.
yeah,
I, I
even
feel for you.
just
I feel for you. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah, it's not good. And you wouldn't get like mangoes. Um, like in the US, I see all you guys eating mangoes for such cheap prices. Like if I was to buy that many mangoes, it would cost me like, I don't know, like $200 a day. I couldn't do that. No
Gee,
way.
that's
It wouldn't even be available.
it's
So
crazy. It's crazy. All right. So you spent about 3 months doing the raw thing, and you couldn't get
yeah,
enough calories. You couldn't
yeah.
get enough calories, but did you feel that some of the negative aspects of paleo were gone?
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I was past that point where, um, because yeah, like I said, my mental clarity was hopeless when I was doing the paleo diet. So when I switched over to more carbs, obviously my sanity came back, and I would say I had a lot more energy. And then after once I switched to the cooked foods, I started experiencing more of the actual benefits of the vegan diet, because then I was I had the right amount of calories, and I was just smashing it. Then I subsequently gained probably 10 kilos of muscle in 6 months after that. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
it was really good.
All right. And the feeling that you needed to keep your weight low was probably no longer an issue, right? It was like it was lean. You were gaining lean muscle.
Yeah, 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 pretty much. And then after, about 3 months after the raw thing, I started adding in more fats again, and the weight started going up too fast. In fact,
Uh huh.
I was actually eating so much food that I was actually gaining weight, eating eating probably 80 grams of fat a day, so quite a lot, quite a
Wow.
lot.
Okay.
Um, compared to what I eat now, which is maximum like 30 grams, I'd say, in a
So
day.
was that kind of a personal experiment on your part?
Yeah,
Were you
that was
just
another personal experiment, and because I was doing, say, the traditional bodybuilding macronutrient profile for vegans, basically.
okay? Right.
So it was highish protein, moderate fat, moderate carbohydrates, and then yeah, that was what I did for another 3 months, and then after that, for a year now, I've done the just medium protein, 80 grams protein, 30 grams fats, and then the rest carbs, whatever,
Okay.
whatever I eat.
What does that work out to about percentage wise, John?
This is a 80-10-10, pretty much,
It's
80-10-10.
okay. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So I did 80-10-10 for about a year now.
And when you were doing your bodybuilding vegan phase with relatively high fat,
Mm.
did you notice any other negative symptoms besides the fact that it felt like you were gaining too much weight?
Yeah, I I think with the high fat, I had a bit of like what do you call it? The heart arrhythmia, some sort of heart arrhythmia.
Haha.
Uh, I think because of all the fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so messing it up. But subsequently, I don't get that anymore. I don't
Okay.
know whether or not it was the fact that I've been on the diet for 2 years that now it's gone, or it's the fact that I've moved away from the high fat and onto the low fat. I couldn't say, but yeah, it was initially a problem. I'd get that, but other than that, no, it's all been fine. And the acne as well. Acne is a bit worse on the high fat, high protein regime
Haha.
rather than the low fat.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
And let me ask you, since you were into lifting weights, uh,
Yeah.
did it feel as though when you increased your percentage of fat and protein that it made your performance on the weights improve, or is it, or now that you've had experience with both, is it relevant? Do you think?
Um, Now, there's people Mike Velocity who say, you can eat low protein, moderate fat, high carb. But to be honest, I'm of the opinion that if you want to build maximum muscle, you're probably going to have to go with what the science says in terms of protein needs. So it's
Uh-huh.
roughly double your body weight in grams
Okay.
of protein, and that's what I saw the best gains on. Although, um, there's a lot more to it than that as well, because I could have been coming from uh, adapted to a high protein diet, and then I've gone to a low protein diet. So I've seen reduced protein utilization, and then gone back up to a high protein diet from the low protein, and then you get a subsequent increase in protein synthesis from that. Uh,
Yeah, that's
it's all it's
interesting.
all it's all a bit complicated. It's not really worth mentioning, really. Um, yeah, I confuse myself with it all. So
And
yeah,
it sounds like
too many
it
theories.
sounds like that. Has your fitness routine changed? Have you moved into more cardio activities, or are you still
Oh
into?
yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, so when I was doing the bodybuilding thing, and I followed the traditional bodybuilding macronutrients, and then after that, I went on to doing sprinting. Now I'm doing sprinting.
Yep.
So the protein is, I feel that protein builds a lot of mass rather than strength. It does give you a lot more mass. Uh, it's either through the insulin spikes, or it's got to be something that allows more growth. Just eating more protein allows you to be bigger.
Yeah.
And the fat helps that, I think, as well. But yeah, now I do the sprinting, so I want to stay leaner. I don't want to put on as much muscle mass. I want to, stay kind of like a athletic, lean, toned sprinter look rather than the bodybuilding, high bulk, high fat,
Right.
off-season bodybuilder look. So yeah, to maintain that, I think the 80-10-10 is definitely, or 5% fat is definitely better for keeping lean.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think different folks could vary their percentages from, say, from as low as 5 up to maybe 15% fat and maybe around 10%
Yeah.
protein.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like the difference, the reason I keep my fat so low is because I want to keep my body fat low.
Yeah.
That's as simple as I see it. And then if I want to increase my body fat percentage, I'd increase fats. I mean, yeah, that's
Pretty
how I.
simple. Pretty simple.
That's
Yeah.
and when I say I get 30 grams of fat, um, I make sure I cover my essential fats. So that's 1.6 grams of omega 3s, and then I think it's about 6 grams of omega 6 is the optimal amount, or the amount where no one is deficient. Basically 95% people are not deficient, so that's basically what I follow. And then yeah, I don't try to get any more fat than that, and it ends up being about 30 grams of fat.
Okay. Do you add those omega 3s with like flaxseed, or do you feel you're get? Yeah, yeah, okay.
I
Okay.
definitely add with fat because it's too hard to get that omega 3 minimum without flax. I found, because unless you're willing to have lots of greens, say
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
half a kilo of greens plus a day, then you could maybe hit the omega 3s. But other than that, I can't see a way of doing it. Or unless you had mangoes. Mangoes have a lot of omega 3.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Didn't know that. All right. All right. I'm going to throw a couple of items at you, and I want you to tell me what you personally decided for yourself. Okay.
Yeah,
So the first is vitamin B12.
yeah, definitely need it. Uh,
Okay.
you can't get it from uh, algae. You can't get it from on top of your organic vegetables. They're both not good sources of B12. Definitely get it either through an injectable, sublingual supplement, or just an oral B12 vitamin. Yeah, definitely need it.
All
Definitely.
right. And which of those do you use for yourself?
Got it right here. So
Okay.
is this
Yeah.
just a Country Life Superior B12. It's just what is it? Methyl B12
Yeah. The
sublingual.
methyl. Yeah. And is that a sublingual?
Yeah, sublingual.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. And what's your take on vitamin D?
Vitamin D. I also have vitamin D.
You do.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, the reason I take that is because over the winter I develop vitamin D deficiency every single time.
Huh.
Can't help it because I'm in this climate, so yeah, I have to supplement it. Simple
Now,
as that.
now it's interesting you say that because I think of Australia, you having a lot of sun. So when you say this climate, do you mean because it's so hot you stay inside, or?
Yeah, no, it's winter at the moment, so it's really cold.
Okay.
I'm down in Melbourne, so it's not like Queensland or anything like that. It's not tropical.
Okay.
Uh, in the summer, it can get really hot. Like, for instance, it can be 45 degrees centigrade. So, and it's very dry. So, but yeah, in the summer, my levels are around 75 or whatever nanomole per liter or whatever it is.
Huh.
And during the winter, they become around in the 20s. So definitely deficient. And yeah,
Okay.
I get a blood test every winter for that.
What kind of D is it that you take? Is that a D2, D3?
Um, I decided to get a vitamin D3.
Okay.
So Dr. Greg has talked about, vitamin D2 possibly being better. Either way, I mean, if you're getting D2 or D3, it's not going to be the end of the world. This is a vegan. They're obviously both the B12 and the vitamin D, definitely vegan. That's for sure.
Okay, cool. Okay. And then the last one I usually like to before I move on to the next one, sometimes I've heard, fill me in on this, educate me, uh, sun in Australia, is there less ozone over Australia or
Yeah,
anything like that?
yeah.
And is there a high incidence of skin cancer in Australia? And what's your take on that? And what's your take on using, sunscreen?
Sunscreen? Nah,
Yeah,
sunscreen's a good thing to use, definitely. And I know Harley also, he avoids the sun during the summer as well because, yeah, like you said, the ozone layer over Australia is depleted, and
yeah,
the UV rays are so much worse. Like on the news, they have the kind of like the UV levels for the day,
yeah.
and during summer it's all high. So yeah, definitely sunscreen is a good idea. I'm not against sunscreen, and I know there'll be people out there who'll say, but some sunscreen will give you cancer or something. But in reality, it's better to have the sunscreen and deal with whatever the minimal impact is, than go out in the sun.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a healthy amount of sun. I don't completely avoid it, but when I do, I mean, I have lots of sunscreen, basically.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. And I guess you said this earlier, but let me clarify. So you take your vitamin D supplement through the winter, and then do you discontinue when summer starts?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
No
right. And
need
then
to take vitamin D.
with that, I didn't get that.
No need to take vitamin D when you're got plenty of sun. Definitely
Okay.
not.
Okay. And then the third nutrient I'm a little bit curious about is iodine. Is that a concern of yours at all?
Um, Not really, because I still eat like bread. So bread in Australia is fortified with iodine,
Okay.
and so then I don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
And that also goes to another issue where people won't have gluten products with gluten in it. I just think that's bullshit because it only affects 1% of the population, and that's celiacs, and they should only avoid it. But yeah, iodine I get in the bread, and it's been fortified since the 90s, I think, in
Yeah.
Australia. So yeah,
Okay. Uh,
I don't supplement it. I just eat bread.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Now, I'd like to hear a little bit if you'd like to share what what are your thoughts? It sounds like you kind of came to this diet primarily for health reasons,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
wondering if you became interested in the ethics of it and the animals and that sort of thing.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay.
I'm not I'm not what you'd call an activist for
Hmm.
sure. I'm more of I eat the vegan way, and that's how I protect the animals. And especially since going vegan, I now see animals in a completely different way. Like I respect them a lot more.
Yeah.
Before, I didn't really. I don't know. I just kind of like I'd make fun of them, and I'd just demean them a lot in conversation, and I just didn't have much respect for their lives. And now I can see that you know they do. How do you say it? They have a consciousness, and they suffer just as we do. So that's how I see it.
Yeah. I love it, John. I love it. That's right. Um, and then along the way, have you have you come across at all some of the environmental effects of living this way?
Come across the environmental effects.
Well, in your studies, what
Oh
what
yeah,
have you come what have you learned about the negative consequences of eating an animal-based diet?
oh yeah, definitely. So, for instance, the use of water is a lot less with vegan or plant-based foods, and the CO2 emissions from animals are a lot higher, just in general. The land use, the how do you say it? The destruction of the land is a lot greater with animal products. Just you can feed a lot more people on a vegan diet. For instance, potatoes, or I think potatoes or bananas almost provide 4 to 5 times as much protein per kilometer or whatever acre of land than eggs, which is the highest protein source for animal foods.
Right.
Which is 2 times more than beef produces. So eggs is 2 times more protein than beef, and then potatoes and bananas are then 4 times above the eggs.
That's really interesting. So per acre, your protein availability is huge for plant-based foods.
Yeah. So 50% of grains are used for animals and livestock. So definitely, vegan diet is going to be the way to go for the future in terms of environmentalism and all that kind of stuff. Definitely.
Yeah. You reminded me of another question I'd like to hear your thoughts on, and that is, if you were to kind of set up a scale in terms of dietary health, would you say that it's fair to say SAD is the worst, then maybe paleo is? It sounds like with your experience, paleo is not better than SAD, but then paleo, then vegetarian, then vegan, then maybe raw, something like that.
I don't like to put certain diets on a scale, only because people have different ideas of what, for instance, paleo is. I mean, someone talked to me the other day on a video about the paleo diet, and they said, paleo diet's not about eating low carb. Who said that to you? And of course, that's what the paleo diet promoters talk about all the time, but some people actually see it as what we actually ate in Paleolithic times, which is a lot of vegetable products and lean meats. We would have eaten lean meats, let's face it, and all that kind of stuff, organ meats. But I would put that in terms of the scale. If I was to put the paleo diet, the one that we all know, the low carb one, I'd put that on the end of the scale, like the crap end of the scale. And I'd put I wouldn't even put raw above cooked, because I think cooked can have some benefits over the raw foods in some instances. Yeah.
What would you say those are, John? Like for you, it sounded like it was easier for you to get your necessary calories by incorporating cooked food. And what are some of the other reasons you'd list that make cooked food better than raw food?
Well, I found certain nutrients that you couldn't get as much of or meet the RDIs in. For instance, zinc and selenium. Very hard to get on raw diets. Raw in terms of like fruits and vegetables. I'm not talking about like back in paleo days. We may have had grains or whatever and got our zinc from that. But in terms of a modern day, what people like to call raw food diet, then I would say selenium, zinc, and not so much a deficiency, but there are other benefits that cooked food can offer. For instance, I think Dr. Gray talked about cooking certain foods like tomatoes or broccoli may increase the availability of certain phytochemicals. So you get benefits in each way you go, cooked or uncooked.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about as you've undergone these changes in your life, you're living in a culture that really enjoys its meat, and
Yeah.
so first of all, has it been difficult in terms of your immediate family, and then how about outside of family with friends and going to social occasions? How have you handled all this?
Yeah, I could go on forever about this, but for instance, my parents, uh, our whole fridge is full of meat and dairy. Like right now, it'll be full. I'm kind of weaning them off it as I go, but
Yeah.
uh, it's still like there'll be 4 packets of cheese in there. There'll be at least two cabinets in the freezer devoted to frozen meat.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And then of course, initially I had to deal with the where do you get your protein, where do you get your calcium. Friends and family came over. They asked the same questions, um, especially like the where do you get your protein. That's always the first question they ask, and especially if you say you're eating lots of fruit, then prepare for a million different questions. A million.
Right.
Uh, like, for instance, you'll hear stuff like, I went to the fruit shop, ironically, and they said that won't you get constipation from eating all those bananas? Because I had 13-kilo box of bananas, 2 of them, and they said, won't you get constipation? And doesn't sugar give you diabetes? And this lady was fat, and she just had no idea what she was talking about. And yeah, just all that kind of stuff. I went into a Greek restaurant, and like, nothing against Greeks, but they have no idea what a vegan diet is. They just, it's not in their vocabulary. Not even vegetarian. And yeah, I went into this restaurant and I said, I'm vegan. I can't eat meat, dairy products, egg, fish, all that kind of stuff. I can't eat that. Can't eat animal products. And she said to me, "Oh, have you got allergies to all of these foods?" And I said, "No, no, no. It's more of a dietary choice. It's more of an ethical thing." And she's like, "Oh, so you can eat this then?" And she said, she pointed to a item on the menu, and it was basically a salad, and it had cheese in it. I'm like, "No, I can't eat cheese. That's an animal product." And stuff like that. You just,
Yeah.
it's crazy, the ignorance out there in some of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're making me think, like, if we went way back, I imagine like a classical Greek diet probably
Mm.
would have been pretty healthy, but it's
Yeah.
but it's evolved into this high meat, especially American Greek restaurants. They have these heavy fat.
Yeah.
I used to love spanakopita. That's eggs, feta cheese, and that is a it's
Pretty
yeah
much.
yeah
That's all food they have. Like lots of feta cheese, lots of cheeses in general,
yeah
lots of meat, just everything on the menu, just meat and cheese. It's
yeah
crazy.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
All right, so let me ask you, since how do you deal with this? Because you've personally experienced the physical benefits of eating this way, and now with all you've studied, you see how people can overcome so many illnesses, and then you have relatives who you see suffering.
Uh, yeah.
How
I
do
hate
you
that.
how do you do it? Because you kind of want to shout it from the rooftops, and then they look at you like you're a nutcase. So
Definitely.
how do you handle that?
Uh, I can't handle it. That's why I keep on telling them not to eat stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
like, for instance, my grandfather, he eats a lot of bad food. He eats a stack of bad food for him, and he's had like 5 stents or something.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I think I don't know, he's had heart attacks, had strokes, all that kind of stuff, and he's had angina or whatever. All these multiple high blood pressure, everything you can think of, he has it, and he just continues to eat the way he does. And you know, he always says to me, or you know, people in a similar situation say to me, you know, oh, I couldn't give up meat. I couldn't give up meat, and it's mainly the social issue for them.
Yeah.
Like they agree with everything. They do agree with what you're saying. Like, yeah, it's healthy. You can tell them, yeah, it's healthy, and you can tell them it's better for the environment. They say, oh yeah, that makes sense, and you can tell them it's ethical. Although sometimes you can, you know, rile people up with that.
Yeah.
Uh, but in terms of like just giving it up, like they just don't want to give it up. They see it as like something that's a part of them, and yeah, they're just not going to change their ways.
Yeah, I think
Especially,
that's a great point. It's kind of like, it seems like for a lot of folks, there's something that happens. There's like a shift in consciousness where it becomes possible. But
yeah,
prior to that point, it's like you're just
yeah.
butting your head against a brick wall. You know?
Can't imagine a day in their life without meat, pretty much. And I was the same. I couldn't imagine eating, like, what would you, I was thinking to myself, what would you eat? What would you eat when, especially when you go out or you, like, yeah. And I'd always make fun of it. Actually, another funny story is, well, it's not really that funny, but my girlfriend, who I've been going out with for 4.5 years now, she was vegetarian when I met her.
Huh.
I made her eat meat. Would you believe it? Right? And then, of course, I went vegan after that. And so now she's obviously having a go at me because now I'm the vegan and she eats the meat. So I don't know. It's funny, but in some ways it's a bit, you know, it's hard to handle.
Well, you never know. I was just speaking with someone, and she's married, and she was with her husband who ate meat for 10 years while she
Yeah,
was vegan, and now
yeah,
finally he's coming around. So hopefully your girlfriend will open up a little bit.
yeah. Look, she understands the health benefits, and she obviously she went in it for ethical reasons initially. She went it when she was 14, so she
Okay.
was teenage girls, they go into the vegetarian thing because
Yeah.
they see the cruelty and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
smart. They're smart.
yeah, exactly. They're smart. That's a good response. My girlfriend will like that one.
All right. So are there any tips, John, that you'd give to folks who are either folks who are just considering this as a new lifestyle, or even people that have been doing it a while? Any kind of general tips from your experience that you'd share?
Uh, hmm. General tips would be to, if you get rid of something, be aware that you've gotten rid of something. So you've gotten rid of meat. What are you going to replace it with? I think a lot of people will fail because they don't realize that they've gotten rid of a lot of calories in their diet. And of course, when they go onto the vegan diet, they don't realize, so they undereat and they say that they failed on the vegan diet. So best to be aware of what you've taken out, and then initially add in some meat substitute, tofu, all that kind of stuff, in order to kind of replicate the diet that you were eating before. But just in that
As a
way.
transitional method. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And of course, when you get into it, you do look for the substitutes because you want to kind of fit in and you want to do all that stuff. And then after, a year or whatever, you just start eating, whatever tastes good and, healthy recipes and all that kind of stuff. And I'd also say eat whole foods as much as you can. Whole foods, low-fat whole foods, and eat as much of them as you want, I would say. Don't eat unlimited calories because that implies that you have to eat a lot. Just eat as much as you want.
I like it.
And
I like it,
feel,
John. Yeah. That's a great
and
point. And um, it sounds like, since you were doing the bodybuilding thing, you probably, in that phase, you probably learned a good bit about caloric intake.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and would you say that after you'd done that long enough, you kind of had this information in the back of your head, so now you kind of know when you're eating 3,000 calories, you have an idea what that is?
Easy. I tracked my calories for 6 months
Yeah.
every day, and so from that, I know the macronutrient breakdown of just about any food. Uh, I know the micronutrients in a lot of foods, a lot of common foods that I eat now, which is also a good benefit because then you know that you're getting, say, for instance, enough calcium in your diet, because that's another thing that you can stuff up if you don't. You think you're going to a vegan diet, and then a lot of the vegans say, you'll get enough calcium, but of course you also have to make a conscious choice to choose foods that have a lot of calcium in them. So, for instance, sweet potatoes have a lot of calcium rather than white potatoes. So that's why I eat the more sweet potatoes.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so yeah, you got to kind of make some conscious decisions if you want to go that next level, you want to be really healthy long term, then you got to look at what your diet actually is comprised of, um, rather than just eating willy nilly. Because vegans can be unhealthy as well as meat eaters, so it's always good to look at your diet and see what you're actually eating.
Great point. Excellent point. Yeah, it's been hard for me to do the amount of greens that I know I should be eating. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's a huge point.
that would be another thing. The greens. Uh, like I know Dr. Esselstyn, I think, talked about eating a lot of greens with your meals, maybe up
Yeah.
to 6 times a day. Um, yeah, he advises that for people who have had, coronary heart disease, all that kind of stuff. Um, but in terms of just everyday people, uh, I wouldn't recommend you go like AWOL on the greens because it's going to reduce your overall caloric intake, and that may not be good for some people. It might be good for others, but for people who need a lot of energy, it may not be the best thing to be eating all these greens because your athletic performance will go down in terms of carbohydrates because it's just going to displace other foods. I find.
That's an interesting point. That may be why it seems like a lot of raw fooders, they do fruit most of the day and then they'll do the salad at the end of the day. That's
Yeah.
an interesting
and
point.
and even Freely you only see her eat like maybe two or three um, leaves or whatever, or maybe a small head of lettuce these days. She doesn't eat that many greens. Neither does Dream Rider.
Yeah.
Look, that may not be the best for health, but I find just in terms of trying to get calories in, because I know Dream Rider eats a lot of calories. I eat stacks of calories. It may be different for you or for other people, but yeah, I find I just need to get it in because I've got 5 days a week, 2 hours training plus. So it's just, and at 85 kilos, you have to eat so much.
Yeah, yeah. And you're reminding me of a point that's interesting here. There, there are different species of primates that have different amounts of vegetable and fruit intake, and the primates that are closest to us genetically have a very high fruit intake and
Yeah,
relatively low vegetable intake.
yeah. They're like the gorilla versus the chimpanzee. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I think
gorilla eats.
bonobos have a very high fruit intake.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, definitely. I just think that we're compared to all other animals, the thing that makes us different is the fact that we eat such nutrient dense foods. I mean, not nutrient dense foods, such macronutrient dense foods
Huh.
compared to other species.
Yeah, yeah,
That's I find the biggest difference, and I think that's why compared to other animals, we actually live really high energy lifestyles. a lot of animals are lazy compared to us. We actually do a lot more.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
great point.
it's yeah.
That's a great point, and I guess there's a lot of debate about the increase in our brain size, and was that related to uh,
Nah, the meat.
you know, paleo ideas about evolution, or was it perhaps related to the fact that we ate high carbohydrate? We
Yeah,
shifted to, yeah, like I think bonobos can be said to be the most intelligent primate, and they eat a large amount of carbohydrate.
yeah. I definitely think that you need, in order to have a high functioning brain, you have to have a fair bit of carbohydrates. I don't think the reason, and I know a lot of people, they might disagree with me here, once again, but I think that we did develop a bigger brain because we ate, not because we ate meat, but because we hunted for meat.
Huh?
Uh, so a lot of the evidence that plant positive, if you've heard of plant positive,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
he goes through this, and it's not because we ate the meat and that we grew larger brains. It's because usually hunters, they have to develop certain skill sets in order to find and hunt animals. So I think we became a lot more. We developed more skill sets through hunting, and we have a wide diversity of skill sets for finding food. Basically, that's what I
Yeah,
think our
yeah.
brain.
I broadly will say adaptability. Our
Yeah,
adaptability.
yeah,
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 and I think you're right there. Another interesting theory. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I think it's Tony Wright has written a book, and he talks about brain development with fruit, and
yeah.
that actually our brain size has been decreasing since we got away from fruit. So it's
uh,
interesting.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I could. Yeah, I haven't really explored that,
Yeah.
but from where I'm looking at now, I'd be probably thinking we might be decreasing certain parts of our brain just because we do different things these days.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say a particular food makes your brain adapt in a particular way.
Mm.
I think that's mainly down to evolution and how uh, the daily environment that you encounter affects your brain rather than uh, kind of the food choosing what your brain, I don't know, their brain
Yeah.
structure is.
Determining. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's part of the environment, like what you encounter.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I don't know how to explain it. It's not my area of expertise, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right, my friend. Well, I think we pretty much covered everything. I want to keep going. I have to go do something. I hate it. But
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to add, John?
Not off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything.
Okay. Well, hopefully I've got good quality on this video, and I'll let you know. I'll edit it and post it, and I'll send you the link. I appreciate you taking the time and being up late for me. Um,
No, it's not that loud. It's not that late for me. It's
all
fine.
right, all right, all right.
But thanks for having me.
Well, and thanks for all you do, man. And good luck with those die-hard meat eaters. Good luck.
Yeah, I'll keep fighting them.
All right, all right. Take care, my friend.
All right, see ya.